So I think we're ready to get started. It's 10 o'clock for me. So thank you so much to everybody, all the classrooms joining today. I really enjoy doing this every year. Thank you so much again for hosting me. So my name is Jilllian Morris, and I'm a marine biologist. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my work with sharks. I'm really lucky to spend a lot of time with these incredible animals, studying them, swimming with them, and teaching students all over the world about sharks, really interesting facts, how we learn about them, and why we want to protect them. Kind of the misunderstanding and the wrong information and the negative image that's out there about these animals. So I'm going to go ahead. I just want to make sure, can everyone see the slideshow? Okay, great. Just making sure. All right. So I am a marine biologist, and when I say I work with sharks, it can mean a lot of different things. And it means a lot of different things for people depending on where they are in the world and what sort of area of marine science they're working in. For me, it usually means diving with sharks, taking photos and videos of them, and catching and tagging them to collect data and specific information about that animal. And I'm going to talk about each of these today, kind of those areas, but I also run a program called Sharks for Kids. So we travel around the world teaching students about sharks. We offer free lesson plans, curriculum, activities, and do programs just like this, virtual learning opportunities. So yeah, if you guys are interested, that's definitely something to check out to dive a little deeper into the world of sharks. All right, today I'm calling you from a little island in the Bahamas called Bimini. If you look over on the map, you can see South Bimini. It's about 50 miles from Miami, Florida, so it's the closest Bahamian island. And the reason I'm here is because there are a lot of sharks. My husband and I both work on lots of TV shows. We're both marine biologists. We do a lot of diving. So if you want to spend time with sharks, this is really a great place to be. And it's why we moved here. There's also a research station on the island that studies sharks, so it's great to get to collaborate with them as well to learn about the specific species we have in this area. So the focus today is really going to be two things: the filming and the photography, and the science, tagging sharks. So on the right, you can see this is a tiger shark. Her name is Joker. She's just over 9 feet in length. She showed up in Bimini last season, sort of February time. In the winter months, the hammerheads migrate here, the great hammerheads, and we're able to dive with them. And you can see in that photo, it's pretty shallow, anywhere from 15 up to 40 feet, depending on the day and the conditions. And so now Joker has come back, and we get to dive with her a lot. She's got a really cool personality. She's smaller than most of the hammerheads, but she's a lot of fun to dive with. And you can see I've got some special equipment in the water with me, so I'll talk a little bit about that. And then on the left, there's another tiger shark, but it's next to the boat, and you can see something on its fin. That's a special type of tag, and I'm going to talk about that as well. So two animals and two very different ways to learn more about them. So there are over 500 different species of shark. These are all species that we have here in the Bahamas, specifically here in Bimini. And I took all these photos. So again, it's a great way to kind of see their movements, their faces, different features. And you can see, even though they're all sharks, there's different colors and patterns and sizes and shapes. Sharks are incredibly diverse. You can notice the different habitats as well. The mangroves, you can see the bushes kind of in the middle, right under the tiger shark, which has the stripes, the little lemon shark. And juvenile lemon sharks spend the first 5 to 7 years of their life in this nursery habitat. The mangroves create these great root systems that the little sharks can hang out and hide and find food. You see sand bottom. All right? You can see deeper water, very shallow water, some of the seagrass on the bottom. So sharks live in different habitats as well. But all of these species are found pretty regularly throughout the Bahamas. Again, it's why it's such an amazing place to study sharks. It's also the shark diving capital of the world, so more people travel here to swim and see the sharks than anywhere else, which generates a lot of money for the economy here, and is part of the reason we have a shark sanctuary. It's actually illegal to catch and kill sharks in the Bahamas. They're protected, but in much of the world's oceans, they're not protected, which is why we're studying them to learn more. So in order to, one approach for studying sharks is we actually do go out and catch them. We have specific equipment. If you've been fishing before, it's a little bit different than that. We have specific types of lines and buoys and hooks that we use for catching sharks. And once we have an animal, we bring it next to the boat. We put a line around its tail. So imagine here, I'll go with my tiger shark friend here. So we get a line around the tail. It does have a line in its mouth, and we're going to secure it next to the boat. Now we do that because we don't want the shark to thrash around, to hit us, to hurt itself. So it's really important to get the animal secured. And then we're going to do what's called a scientific workup. This is our data collection. This is getting the information about that animal. And you can think of it as going to the doctor and getting a physical or a checkup. So here you see this bull shark next to the boat, and we're measuring her. Right? We're going to measure from the tip of her nose to the tip of her tail. Then we're going to measure from the tip of her nose to the start of her tail. This is called the precaudal point. Right? So it's a precaudal measurement. And then the tip of her nose to the fork or the split in the tail. Then we'll measure around sort of where the shark's armpits would be to see how big around she is. This can help us figure out about how much the shark weighs, because if this is about a 200-pound bull shark, we do not want to bring that animal into the boat. We want to keep it in the water, keep it comfortable, collect our measurements, and let the shark go. The next thing we're going to do is take a small tissue sample. So we take a piece of the shark's dorsal fin. It's really like clipping your fingernails or cutting your hair. The shark doesn't feel it. Sharks do not have any bones in their body. Their skeleton is made of cartilage, that same stuff we have if you bend your ear or bend the end of your nose. It's really flexible. And that whole fin has cartilage inside, so they don't feel anything, which is why it's like clipping your fingernails or cutting your hair. And we take that little piece of tissue, we'll take a couple of them, and what it does is it gives us the shark's unique genetic identity. So all of us, we have different DNA that makes us a unique individual. It's the same thing with sharks. But the cool thing we can do with that is we can actually check records of other sharks we've caught, their DNA, and see if we've caught mom, dad, brothers, sisters, or if that shark's had babies before, which are called pups. Shark families don't really stay together. Mom and dad do not take care of the babies. So it's really interesting to see if family members are still kind of in the same area. And then from that, another piece of that tissue, a little bit of the muscle, and maybe we can take some blood, we can actually figure out the diet of the shark. What has it been eating? Which is really cool. It's like if I clipped your fingernails and I knew you guys all had pizza for dinner last night, spaghetti for lunch, and Cheerios for breakfast. We can know that about a shark by looking at the tissue and the blood. Right? It tells us what the shark's favorite restaurant is. The seagrass beds, coral reefs, where have they been hanging out? Because sharks are not always on the top of the food chain. So where does this species of shark fit in this particular ecosystem? Then before we release the shark, we're going to tag it. You may have heard people talk about shark tagging. So there's different types of tag we can use. And some of you may have a pet at home, a cat or dog that's microchipped. Maybe you've heard your parents or your family talk about that. We microchip sharks as well. But for your family, your microchip will have your phone number and your address. So if the vet or the Humane Society finds your lost pet, they can scan it, and you see that scanner on the top right with a number, and get your lost pet back. Now, we're not trying to return lost sharks to their home. We're just trying to give them kind of like a name tag. So it's injected just under the dorsal fin, that top fin. So it'll go just under there with a syringe, just like if you had a shot at the doctor's office. And then we use that scanner. We're going to wave it over the shark. And if it beeps and a number comes up like you see there, we know the shark's identity. It's already been tagged. We can look at our data book because we write all this information down. Or we can reach out to other scientists. And if we catch the shark, we'll remeasure it. Right? Did our shark grow, just like the doctor sees if you've grown since the last time? Or maybe the shark was caught in Florida the first time, and now it's in Bimini. So we've learned a little bit about their movement or their migration pattern. Right? So it kind of gives us an idea on growth and movement. Another tag we might use is the same thing you've probably seen on the ear of a cow or a pig. They're called roto tags or cattle tags. Believe it or not, sharks do have ears. They'll have two tiny dots on the top of their head. They don't have an outside part like we do, so piercing the ear would be difficult, so we pierce the fin. Again, kind of a name tag for the shark. We pop it on there. We'd have to see the shark again or catch it again to kind of remeasure it or see if this is the different spot. Sometimes if divers see the sharks with tags, they can take a photo and then track it down. I've seen people go onto social media and say, hey, I got a photo of this shark tag, and it gets shared around, and then they figure out which scientists tagged the shark. It's really cool to see that networking happen and to learn more about that shark. Okay. Now, technology is really incredible. Think about a phone. A phone doesn't just make phone calls. You can film a video. You can watch a video. You can get directions. You can see where you are. So as that technology is changing, so is the technology that we can use to study sharks. So one of the tags that we can use are called acoustic tags. Acoustic means they make a noise. And each tag has kind of its own ringtone, but it's not like a song. It's really a series of beeps. The shark can't hear it. We can't hear it. We have special things that listen for it. And when you flip a shark over, it goes into a sleep-like state called tonic immobility. And what you see here is we've made an incision right about there on the shark. We've slid a tag in. Now we're going to stitch it up, and flip the shark over, and it swims on its way. It's a natural anesthesia, just like pets or people have. They have surgery so they don't feel what's going on. The shark's not feeling this. We'll flip it over, and it'll swim on its way. Now, we can put that same tag, if you see here, on the just below the dorsal fin on this great hammerhead, and it's attached externally, and that tag is giving off that signal. And the thing sticking up out of the sand is a receiver. This is an underwater ear that listens only for those tags. So it could be a shark or a turtle or a tuna that swims by, and that receiver has a computer inside that records the date, the time of day, the water temperature, and the tag. Ooh, I see a question. How many sharks have you tagged? I've been lucky enough to tag hundreds of sharks. It depends. I've been working with sharks for about 17 years. So I've tagged a lot of different sharks from Australia to the Bahamas, throughout Florida. But scientists tag thousands and thousands of sharks every year. It's really important data to learn more about these animals. All right, so then that receiver is in that waterproof case. It's brought up to the boat, it's untwisted, computers plugged in, download the information. And the cool thing is you can see which sharks come to lunch every day at 12, or they have a 3 o'clock meeting in the afternoon with other sharks. And yeah, so it's actually helped us figure out that some sharks have buddies that they like to hang out with and spend time with. It can tell us how often a shark is in a certain area and how much time they spend there. So these receivers are all around the Bahamas, all up the east coast of the United States. So scientists can actually track the movements of these animals as they're passing along and moving around. All right, so tagging facilities in New England, yes. So off the Cape, there are people working on great whites. So the Atlantic White Shark Conservancy with Dr. Greg Skomal. They've been tagging the great whites and tracking them. Also University of New England, which I actually studied at, and they have an amazing shark research center as well. So definitely sharks in New England and definitely some really incredible science being done up there. I think they actually just worked on a camera that can go inside a female to actually see if she's pregnant. So really incredible science. And what is the smallest shark I've tagged? So little baby nurse sharks that we have here are about 11 inches long when they're born. So they're about not even as big as this stuffed animal. They're really cute. So that's probably the smallest shark I've tagged is a baby nurse shark. The biggest one is probably a 4 meter, just over 4 meters. I think this is about 4.5 meter tiger shark in Australia. So very small to a much larger animal. Right. And the last tag I'm going to talk about is really, really advanced technology. This is incredible. There's a couple different kinds of these, and so you can see it's quite large, and it goes on the dorsal fin. This is called a spot tag, or satellite tag. So it's a smart position. You can think of this like putting an iPhone on a shark. But obviously we can't put an iPhone on a shark, so this is our version. And you can see the green, that's a little computer. There are batteries in there. We attach it to the fin, and it has to be on a type of shark that comes to the surface. So it's usually used on mako sharks, tiger sharks, great whites, because they do spend time at the surface. Right, so the shark comes up, that tag goes bing through that antenna, and we get an email from our sharks. They write us a nice note about how they are and where they are. Now, the tag does all the work. It just gives us a location. So it allows us to track the sharks. If you guys have seen like the Guy Harvey Research Institute or OSearch that have these apps or websites that you can follow specific sharks, this is the tag that they're using. Stay on for about 4 years, and it's actually going to move out of the fin and fall off. But for 4 years, we're going to be getting email updates to see where the shark is. And both of these are tiger sharks. Wearing those tags against the fin so it doesn't affect their swimming at all. Are sharks ticklish? They don't really have the same sense of feeling that we do. I've seen that little kind of cartoon where the person's tickling the shark. That's pretty cute. So their sensory systems are a little bit different than just physical touch like we would have. So I don't think they're ticklish. And how long do they live? So it really depends on the shark. Over 500 different species, so it varies. A lot of the species we have here in the Bahamas, anywhere from about 25 to 40 years. Great whites is about 50 to 75 years. And then you have the Greenland shark, which lives in really deep, cold water near the Arctic. They can live for over 400 years, right? Which makes them the longest living vertebrate animal alive today. Right? So we hear things like, we talk about the teeth and scary and their fins and they're big. There's so much more to sharks. Right? They have some really incredible adaptations, and I mean, living over 400 years, that's absolutely amazing. Do sharks ever travel in packs? It depends. So dogfish are called that because they actually hunt in packs. Oftentimes they'll gather though to breed, or if they're all feeding, there's a certain spawning, another fish is spawning, and so there's lots of food in the area, so then you'll see lots of predators. There might be also dolphins and whales and sharks and birds that gather. And then you have species that are really solitary and don't spend much, if any, time with other sharks at all. So it really depends on the type of shark. But the little baby lemon sharks will kind of work together to hunt together when they're babies and they're best friends. Do the pieces of fin they cut off grow back? No, but it's just going to heal up. They're not going to regenerate that. It's just going to kind of heal up. And so, but it doesn't affect their swimming. That's why we do it right there. So it's make sure that it's not something that's going to harm the animal or affect how they're able to swim or function in their everyday life. Great questions, guys. All right, so from that tag, we get an image like this, and we'll actually get a video. Every green dot is when this is a 9-foot tiger shark. The blue dot you see is Saba, an island in the Caribbean. And over the course of about 3 months, this tiger shark headed to South America. And every green dot is when she came to the surface. So it's really cool because we can see where the shark is spending time. And then we can start asking questions like, why is she going there? What habitats are there? It really helps us understand a bit more about their lives and their movement. Because where that blue dot is, that shark is protected. It's another shark sanctuary. But all that pathway down there, she's not protected, and there's a lot of shark fishing in those areas. So if we can see lots of sharks with these tags repeating a similar pattern, then we can start to use this data, this science, to go to different islands to try and get larger areas of protection put in place. The first time I was actually studying. So I'll do a couple more questions. You guys have really great questions. This is awesome. So the first time I was swimming with sharks, diving them, I was definitely nervous. I loved sharks, but I didn't know what to expect. I had all this dive equipment on, and I was still getting used to breathing underwater. And so I was definitely a little nervous, but within a few minutes, I saw the sharks. They were swimming around. They weren't interested in me at all. When we swim with sharks, we use a bit of bait, so some snacks. So just like if I wanted you guys to hang out with me, I could come in the classroom and put a big tray of cookies, and you guys would all go towards the cookies. Kind of what we do with the sharks. We got to give them a snack to get them to hang out with us. They're really not interested in humans at all. So yeah, I was nervous, just like the first day of school or trying a new sport. But then I realized how awesome it is, and now I love getting to do it. How old is the oldest shark you've ever tagged? Probably 20s, 30s maybe, based on the size. So, which might not seem that old, but for some species of shark it is. Do glow sharks exist? They do. So there are several species of sharks that have glow-in-the-dark bellies. They can either reflect light that looks like it's glowing, or they can actually create their own glow. There's different types of light kind of photospores they have in their belly that allows them to either absorb light and project it as a glow, or actually create their own glow. All right, built-in nightlight. They're little sharks, and they live in very deep parts of the ocean. Another amazing adaptation. Why is studying sharks? So Sam, I'm going to talk about why studying sharks is so important in just a minute. So we're going to hold on to that one. So that's really good. All right. Great. And another thing that I spend a lot of time doing is swimming with sharks. And this photo, or both of these, might make you go, whoa. I mean, when I tell people I work with sharks, I usually get two reactions. Wow, that's amazing, or oh, that's so scary. All right, so the one on the right, that shark's name is Scylla. All the great hammerheads here are tagged and named, or the lab here is working on tagging them, but they're named so that as divers are seeing them and taking photos, because this time of year it's very busy in Bimini, people come from all over the world just to swim with these sharks. They've been on Shark Week, lots of different TV shows. It's the only place in the world that you can swim with great hammerheads in very shallow water. So Scylla, you can see swimming over my head. I like to show that because I spent a lot of time with the shark. Never tried to bite me. They get very close. And I've got some special equipment you can see there. And then on the left, you can see I don't have that equipment. I've just held my breath and dived down to the bottom. This is Atlas. He's a male great hammerhead, one of the few that we actually see. And you'll notice he's got kind of a mark on his back that's white. So that's a unique thing. We're trying to figure out if it's a fungus, a bacteria, or kind of rubbed his skin off. And you can see just below the dorsal fin there is that tag. So these are large animals, anywhere from 10 to probably about 13 feet. They get very close, and they're amazing to dive with. But sadly, they're an endangered species, which is another reason that we're working to learn more about sharks. I'm just going to get through. I'm going to try and make sure I go back to these. I'm just going to get through a few more photos and videos, and then we'll pause to do a couple more questions. So if you noticed, I had some gear on. This is called scuba diving equipment, and I've got a special underwater backpack. The thing that is in my mouth is how I breathe the air from the tank that's attached on my back to that backpack, and I can swim around with my fins and the mask on my face to help me see. All right, so scuba diving equipment means I can stay under the water longer. Anyone can learn how to do this. I think you can start doing kind of some practice stuff in the pool when you're 8 or 9, and then once you're 10, 11-ish, you can learn all about it and get certified to do it safely. And it's really fun. It's like exploring a new world. You never know what you're going to see, but it's also really amazing for studying sharks and other ocean life. And we take cameras underwater. The last photo I had a GoPro. You guys might have seen that or used that before. This one is, you can see the camera. It goes inside that case that's made of metal that keeps the camera nice and dry and safe. We have all different sizes of these cameras. My husband does a lot of filming for like Discovery and BBC and Animal Planet. He's filming a Shark Week show right now in Palau out in the Pacific, and he has a huge housing for his camera. It's a really big camera. It's a really big case. But that's what people use to be able to go in the water and take photos and videos that you see on the internet, like I'm showing you here, or on TV shows. So just showing you all these little lemon sharks. These are kind of what we call, some of these are juveniles, a little bit bigger, so approaching being sort of teenage sharks. You can see they're coming up to the camera. I've got that case. They're swimming around. We have a lot of these species here in Bimini from birth all the way to adulthood, so it's incredible to actually get to see them at all different sizes. And there's a lot of them there, and they're coming up because there's actually a bit of fish in the water. So it's not because they like my hat or they want to hang out with me, or maybe that one wants its photo taken. It is coming up and smiling for the camera nicely. All right, so self-cloning. Don't believe that's been seen. They actually can store, if the female, if she copulates with a male, she can actually store the sperm for up to, depending on the species, about 6 months before she can then control whether she gets pregnant or not. So that's happened in aquariums, and they thought, what has happened? But she'd been around a male prior. She just wasn't around a male at that time. And that can be so that if conditions, the shark isn't as healthy or the timing isn't right for her to be pregnant or enough nourishment to feed her pups. Because like lemon sharks, who can store it for about 6 months, they actually have live birth. So all the pups, the babies, are connected with an umbilical cord to the mother, which means when they're born, they have a little shark belly button, which is really cute. So why are all species of hammerheads endangered? Yes. So varying degrees, but yes, because they're targeted for their fins as kind of sport fish, because they're a really big shark. So sadly, actually about 25% of all sharks and rays are threatened with extinction, which is really a scary number, which is why we do this, right? We want to study sharks, we want to photograph, film them, ID them. It's all to learn more so that we can put better protections in place. If we want another shark sanctuary established or better laws in places for certain species, we have to have data, we have to have science. We can't just say, I really love sharks, can we protect them? Right? That might be the case, but we need the science to show a government, fisheries managers, why these animals are important, the habitats they're using, or certain seasons that they at least need to be protected. So the science, the data is really important. So hang on. Oops, I'm trying to keep track here. We did the smallest shark. I just don't want to miss anybody's question. Put that one. We're going to talk about why they're important. How can you tell if a shark is sick? Well, it depends. They might have an injury. They might be swimming really slow. They might be on the bottom. Sharks do get sick. They can get different diseases. They can get cancer. Sometimes people say sharks don't get cancer. That's why if you have pills made from shark, it's going to help you. Absolutely not. Sharks can get cancer, and there's really no health benefit to the oil from their liver or the cartilage that's ground up to make vitamins. It's just a gimmick that people use to sell a product, but there's actually no health benefit at all. Why do I think sharks are feared? I think because there are movies out there, probably a lot of your teachers would know, and maybe some of you, Jaws, that really scared a lot of people. Also, sharks are very big animals, and they do have teeth, so they're predators, and they live out in deep parts of the ocean. The ocean can seem really scary. It's vast. We know very little about it, so it can seem really scary, and they're often portrayed in movies, right, as monsters and man-eaters. So if you constantly see that, then people are afraid of sharks, even if they've never seen a real one, which is sad because we want people to care about sharks. They're really important. They're amazing. They are not man-eaters. So today, all of you, it's really incredible that you're spending some time learning about sharks. And hopefully, when you leave this tonight, maybe you'll quiz your parents or your family members, your friends. Share some fun facts. See if they know that a shark lives over 400 years. right? Start a conversation and help them see how amazing, important, and interesting sharks are, instead of those words like the teeth and scary and blood. Let's just change the conversation about sharks. Shark skin feels like sandpaper. It's actually really rough because their whole body, believe it or not, is covered in teeth. They have teeth in their mouth, but they have tiny, tiny microscopic teeth called dermal denticles, which means skin teeth, and they cover the shark's whole body. And they kind of lay side by side. Some of them have ridges so the water can flow through, so it makes swimming easier for the shark. It also protects the shark. It's kind of like a suit of armor. And their skin is very, very strong because of those little tiny teeth. Many of the sharks use tag endangered. Some of them, it depends on the type of species. So I'm just trying to, okay, so I'm going to pause there. So guys, I'm just going to show you the rest. I only have a few more photos, and then we'll come back and I'll kind of wrap up with some questions. All right, so this is just a photo, another one of those little lemon sharks in a different habitat. This is the mangroves, and you can see that amazing root system, and all the little fish are hiding out in there. It's really shallow, so big predators can't get in there. You can see I'm on my knees, and my head sticking out of the water. That's another type of camera. And then nice little photo of a little lemon shark. Looks like it's kind of blowing bubbles. People don't really think of sharks in a forest. Again, kind of talking about the personality. And this is Miss Emma. Emma is about a 15-foot tiger shark that I've been lucky enough to dive with over the last 10 years. And she's been on lots of TV shows, Shark Week. I think she has her own Twitter page. This is a real shark celebrity. And she comes in, she cruises by the camera, and you can see I've got my scuba equipment on there, and taking lots of photos and videos. And when I first started, that very large shark in the beginning, the tiger shark, that was Emma, and she was very pregnant in that photo. So taking photos is a way to identify sharks. We can also see their behaviors, but it also helps us see their personality. So I love this one. Valentine's Day was yesterday, so I think this looks like the one bull shark's trying to give the other one a hug, and maybe that one's not so sure. So look at their faces, right? They're not just these void things swimming around. That shark is making a face. So I like that we're able to capture their personalities. We're able to show a different side. These are bull sharks, and people are oftentimes very afraid of bull sharks. We've heard a lot of things. And so this is, I think, kind of a fun photo to share to help, again, to change the conversation about sharks, to help us see and think about them differently. The cameras also help us film the science. So if we talk about tagging sharks, and I said that to you guys, oh yeah, we tag sharks. You might not know what that means. What does it involve? So all the photos, right? So you saw the surgery earlier. That's me. I'm taking a video of the surgery actually happening. So the team is working together. The surgery, the tag will go in, the data's collected, this bull shark will be flipped over, and off she goes. All right, so it's a way for us to be able to teach people and show people what shark science actually looks like, what we mean when we talk about shark tagging. Right, and there's another type of camera we've actually developed that is really cool. My husband's been working on a project with this. It's really interesting to see. This is a fin camera. So it slides on the dorsal fin of the shark, and it kind of looks like barbecue tongs, and it goes on. And then after a few hours, the tongs will pop open, floats up to the surface. You can see that antenna trailing off the back. So that sticks up, and then we can use a special antenna to find it. They put it on one of these cameras on a bull shark a couple weeks ago. Stayed on the shark for 4 hours. Really very interesting. And then it took almost 7 hours to find. So it's kind of like a treasure hunt because you want to get that camera back so you can get some really cool footage. It's like being in a video game and you're the shark. So this is what it kind of looks like. You can just see the head of the shark. Essentially, you just kind of see it swimming. Right? So you can see the shark doing this, and you notice there's another hammerhead in front of it. It's really a way for us to see what it's like to be that animal, how they spend their time, where do they go, what do they eat. It's a glimpse into their world. We can also use 3D cameras, which have been really incredible. So that big piece of equipment you see standing on the bottom, that's a 360-degree camera. which allows us to create virtual reality videos. So if you guys have ever worn those goggles and you get to look all around and see the whole, all sorts of cool stuff. And so we have shark diving videos like that, which is really amazing. So people can put the goggles on and go swim with sharks. This is kind of with the photo. It's a real rounded sort of photo feel that you get from that camera. Very different than a regular camera. Right? And to answer, I believe it was Sam's question, why do we do this? Why are they important? Well, this number is why we're studying sharks, why we want to know more. This is how many sharks that humans kill every single year. It's big, it's scary, and it means their populations are going down. Right? So you might think, okay, so sharks are fish, like their population, who cares, right? It's actually really important because sharks play an extremely important role in the ocean because they help balance the food chain. They eat other animals to kind of keep it balanced. There's not so many of one fish or too many of another. And they also eat injured, sick, dying, dead animals, so they keep the ocean clean and healthy and balanced. And no matter where we live, even if you're not anywhere near the ocean, you need healthy ocean. Okay, some of the oxygen we breathe every day, a little bit of it comes from the ocean. The food we eat, the products we buy, we are connected to the water every single day. So if we need healthy oceans, and healthy oceans need sharks, it means we need sharks. And in order to protect them so that more species don't become extinct or endangered, we have to learn about them. We have to learn species don't become extinct or endangered. We have to learn about them. We have to learn their diet, the habitats they use, how long they live, how fast they grow, where they migrate to, and why. These are all questions that we're working to answer for different species in order to get better laws put in place so that they don't become extinct. Really, really important animals. And I'll finish with how you can save sharks. So just spending time with me today, learning about them, hopefully you might have learned one cool thing that you can go home, and I challenge you to share one shark fact with a friend, a family member, maybe another teacher that's not with you right now, right? One fact. Or maybe you can make some cool posters to hang up at your school. Pick a favorite shark and do a research project. Find out maybe 5 cool facts and share them. All right, I bet your friends don't know that some sharks have glow-in-the-dark bellies or can live a really long time. Or that lemon sharks have little baby belly buttons. Right? Really cool stuff. Share with your friends. Get them interested. Using water bottles, bringing the same one and refilling it every day. You might not have thought that helps sharks. It does. It's just good for the planet. Anytime we can use less plastic, create less waste, absolutely a great thing for the oceans, for the planet, for sharks. Same thing with canvas bags at the grocery store or saying no to the straw. If you love straws, grab a metal or a bamboo one. Very easy to replace. Little simple acts that we can all do that really makes a difference. And you might think, oh, that's one little thing. It's not. It does make a difference, and sharks definitely need your help. So today I hope you can all be great junior shark scientists, ask some good questions, and share your findings with other people. All right, so I'm going to go back to our questions. So let's see. I want to know if there was any other career. Was there any other career I wanted to do besides studying sharks? I didn't know it was definitely going to be sharks, but I knew I wanted to be a marine biologist by the time I was 5. And then I got to see my first shark when I was snorkeling. It was a nurse shark, and I was 9, and I saw it in Florida, and I was fascinated. I just wanted to learn more. And so I started reading books and watching videos and learning as much as I could. And I love these animals. They're fascinating. And the older I got, the more I learned about them. And people were really afraid, but what I was seeing and learning was very different. So then I decided I really wanted to share that with other people. Let's see. How sharks communicate. Well, sharks can't actually make noise. They do not physically have the ability to do it. So they can communicate through postures, just like if a dog was wagging its tail, very different than a dog that's growling. So if a shark's just swimming along, it's pretty kind of chilled out, but if it kind of puts its fins down and it arches its back a little bit like a cat, that shark is different. So what we might say, kind of a bit more agitated. We can watch their body postures. but they also communicate by watching each other. They can learn. So say a little lemon shark learns to push a button to open a box and get a treat. If another shark watches it, it will learn to do it as well. They actually learn from watching each other. How far away can sharks smell blood? The best example I've seen is if you had a really big swimming pool and you had like a spoonful of blood. So not a huge area, not miles away. We've done experiments with sharks and human blood. They swim away from it. They don't come in and start trying to attack it. It's kind of like if I walked in your classroom with a big tub of dead fish that had been sitting out in the sun rotting for a week, you could all smell it. All right, but we'd probably all be running out of the classroom trying not to be sick. Now, if I brought in a big tray of fresh baked chocolate chip cookies, now we're all really hungry, right? We want cookies. So sharks can smell human blood. There's a lot of it, but it doesn't register as food, just like everything we smell doesn't smell like food. So their food, it really depends. Sharks do use all their senses. They have 5. The same 5 we have, but they have their extra shark sense, which is they have little dots. I don't think these guys have them, but they'll have little dots all around their snout called the ampullae, and those can detect heartbeat. So say a shark swims up close and there's a fish buried in the sand, it's camouflaged, maybe the shark can't see it, but those little receptors can feel its heartbeat. But they have to be pretty close. Their sense of smell is really strong. They can see their predators, their prey items as well. So they do use all of their senses. So why do sharks attack people? Well, sharks don't have hands, and even though we think we're really awesome swimmers, we're not. We look like awkward animals. Okay, we look injured, maybe sick or struggling, and if you're a hungry shark, you don't want to have to chase down a healthy fish. It's going to swim really fast. You're going to have to work really hard. I mean, imagine if you were trying to eat your sandwich at lunch today and you're so hungry and you had to chase it around the school for like 10 minutes before you could eat it. Right? You want the sandwich to just sit there. You don't have to chase it down. So the injured animal is going to be easier to catch. So they're going to go up and no hands. They can't go, ooh, what's that? Ooh. Okay, they can look and use their senses, but maybe the water's kind of murky, or maybe they can't get a good smell. Like there's no smell, but it looks like it's injured. They're going to take a test bite. They're going to use their mouth and taste to figure it out. So bites do happen. It's very, very rare. All right. About 5 people on average die from shark bites in the world each year. 5. But humans kill 100 million sharks. All right. So it's very different than what you would think. How big are most dorsal fins? Are they bigger than dolphins? It depends. So the whale shark is the biggest fish in the sea. They can be longer than a school bus, but their fins aren't that. I mean, their side ones are kind of big, but the great hammerhead actually has a very large dorsal fin, sticks way up. It can be huge. But other sharks their little fin is very small down there. So some of them, yes, are bigger than a dolphin's dorsal fin. Others are smaller. It really depends on the shark, because you have a whale shark, which is longer than a school bus, and then you have a dwarf lantern shark, which would fit in my hand, right, and every size in between. How would the loss of sharks upset the food chain? Well, what happens is when you remove a top predator, an apex predator, now all the animals below them, they don't have any predators, so they start to overpopulate. More and more and more and more and more and more, and it's great at first, right? There's no predators, but then they don't have enough food, because the system can't support that many of that level. So then they're gone. And then the next level. So slowly, you'll see the coral reefs start to die. There'll be no fish there. Seagrass beds die. So it's not immediate, but it definitely has an impact across the whole system. And it's one of the things that scientists are trying to see is how quickly does this happen, and what exactly. Hopefully, it's not something that all of a sudden there are no sharks left. That would be terrible for the ocean. So hopefully we'll never find out what exactly happens, but we do know in areas where sharks have been wiped out that the corals are dying, aren't many fish. It really does have an impact that's negative on the system. All right. How many baby sharks can a female have? Depends on the type of shark. So a Port Jackson shark lays 1 egg case. That's it. So some sharks give birth to live babies. Some lay egg cases. Then you have blue sharks can have over a couple hundred babies. Whale sharks, the same thing. Some, like the lemon shark, anywhere from about 10 to 15 pups. So really just depends on the type of shark, how many babies they'll actually have. and how they'll have those babies. I have never been hurt studying sharks. Sometimes the shark skin's really rough, so if we're tagging them and working with them, if we get those dermal denticles, it's kind of like if you have a floor burn from the gym floor or playing outside, so that it can kind of rub on our skin because we're feeling the edges of those little teeth, but I've never been bitten by a shark. I've never had one try and bite me. How is current climate and global warming impacting shark populations? Well, a lot of sharks migrate based on temperature. So as temperatures are changing, they might be migrating earlier, later, staying in a place longer, less time. So we see the hammerheads here, they migrate in as the water temperatures get cooler in the winter. So if those temperatures aren't as cold, then we're going to see their patterns different. They might stay a bit longer or they might arrive later. It's also causing them to follow fish closer into shore. Looking for alternative food options because say you migrate at a certain time of year because there's another food source. That food source isn't there. All right, say you're a tiger shark and you go to an area because you're going to eat dugongs, which are like a manatee. They're not there. You're going to start looking for other things, which then can affect the whole ecosystem. So yeah, we are seeing that it is affecting certainly their movement patterns as well as different other animals in the ecosystem that sharks may prey upon. Oh, well, I'm glad you've loved hammerhead sharks. All right, let me see. I'm going to scroll back. Oops, hang on. I'm going to scroll back up. I don't want to miss any. Okay. Jaden, when's the last time you went out to tag a shark? It's been a couple months, actually. So we had our last trip canceled. But I'll probably go out maybe next week, so I get to go out with the Shark Lab quite a bit here and get to help them. So probably next week or maybe the week after. So yeah, it's exciting. I love getting to do it, and yeah, it's really always interesting to see what sharks we might catch and to learn a little bit more. What oceans do sharks live in? Sharks are found in every single ocean around the world, even in very cold places around the Arctic and Antarctica. Every ocean has sharks. Do the sharks ever bite the tag up? They don't bite it off. I mean, if a big shark ate a little shark that had a tag, then we'd lose the tag. But sometimes the sharks will actually rub the tags off. Right? They'll swim along or it'll get caught or come off. So sometimes they do come off. Or the big tags actually do come off. We have ones that pop off at a specific time or they move out of the fin. Most common shark, spent a lot of time with lemon sharks here, nurse sharks, and this time of year the great hammerheads. But the research project that I'm working on with those tags, the big fancy ones, are tiger sharks. So that's a project that I've been working on for just about 2.5 years. We're still seeing where those sharks are going, and we're hoping to get some funding to put more of those tags out. So that'll be exciting to learn even more about those specific tiger sharks and where they're going and why. How we can tell sharks apart? Well, if you're talking about different types of shark, we can look at tiger sharks are named for their stripes. They're a little bit different than this guy, the hammerhead. All right, and then I have a sawfish friend here, which is actually a ray. There is a saw shark. This is a sawfish, which is a ray. It's kind of like a flattened shark. So we can look at their characteristics, their color patterns, their size. Males and females, so sharks have pelvic fins on the kind of where our hips are, and males will have an extension on each one called a clasper. We see that, we know it's a male. Females don't have those, so that's how we can tell males from females. But really, as far as like physical characteristics, colors, shapes, sizes, patterns on the skin, they might have just a little. If you look at this great white in that picture, you can see just a little bit of black on the inside of the tip of its fin. And then each individual shark of that species may have scars or sort of like birthmarks or different markings to tell the individuals apart. What happens if you flip a shark over? So if we flip it over, it goes in that sleep-like state we call tonic immobility, right? The shark will still be breathing, just like we still breathe while we're asleep. It's really kind of like a sleep-like state that the sharks go into. And then we'll flip it back over, and it swims right on its way. So it's kind of like they go to sleep for a little bit. What my favorite animal besides sharks are? I really like my dog. I have kind of a pit bull mix. I think they're really cool. I also love sea turtles. I love stingrays. We have a lot of dolphins here that are really amazing to see and swim with. So I'm pretty fascinated by all animals, but sharks are absolutely my favorite. What is the shark's role in the ecosystem and food web? So many of them are apex predators at the top, but a lot of them are kind of in the middle, right? So kind of what we call mesopredators. So they're kind of in the middle of the system. Sometimes people say that they're always on the top of the food chain. Absolutely not. And when they're babies, they're definitely not. So they have to grow up just like we do before they might be on the top of the food chain. And it also depends on that particular ecosystem. It could change that a shark might be the top predator in one place, but then it moves to a different ecosystem and it's no longer a top predator. So it can be affected by a lot of different things, but they're certainly not always on the top of the food chain. Do sharks ever attack each other? Yes, they do. So sharks eat other sharks. And they also may, if they're fighting over food or things like that, absolutely. What type of shark would have the biggest impact in the environment if it became extinct? Well, certainly the ones that are apex predators, the ones that play that top role, that would really have a larger impact. I mean, they all would. When a large amount of some species is removed, the system feels that. But certainly, like anything, whether you remove lions and tigers or wolves, anytime you remove a top apex predator, that's when you see the most impact on the system. Where do great know what your favorite animal? I'm not sure. The great hammerheads are my favorite sharks. Is it they ever attack? Yep. So sometimes they do attack each other. So for fighting over food, or because sharks do eat other sharks. I think that's all. If anyone has a couple last questions they want to put in. Oh, there we go. What's the most common type of shark off Massachusetts in the U.S.? It's probably the spiny dogfish. They're a small shark, and there's actually a huge fishery there. So they're caught, and they're shipped to Europe for fish and chips. So there's a huge fishery. I believe that boats are allowed to catch 6,000 pounds of dogfish every day during the season. And I saw it when I was in Chatham. So you have great whites there as well, but you have a huge, huge population of dogfish. Sadly, the ones I saw were all dead, but a lot of sharks. So yeah, there's definitely, I would say they're the most common in that area. How fast can a shark swim? The fastest shark is the short-fin mako, and they've been recorded going anywhere from 45 to 60 miles per hour, which is really, really fast. So yes, some baby sharks will eat their brothers and sisters when they're in the womb. Okay, that does happen with certain species, or they'll eat the developing eggs. So it definitely happens with certain species. Life is not always easy for baby sharks. And think about once they're born, they're on their own. Mom and dad do not take care of them. They have to find food, hide out, hunt, seek shelter, which they can do. They're kind of perfect mini copies of mom and dad. But yeah, life is definitely difficult for baby sharks. What inspired me? Curiosity. I love sharks. They're fascinating, and I learn new stuff every single day. I love asking new questions, observing new behaviors. So it's challenging work. It can be frustrating and sad because so many bad things are happening to sharks, but it's also really amazing to see that we can help them. And conservation of sharks is making a difference. Some species are coming back. Great whites used to be an endangered species off the U.S. They're no longer listed as endangered. That's because conservation and science came together to help protect them, which is really incredible. So it means we can make a difference. We can save these animals. So it's really interesting work. So certain sharks do have eggs. They'll have them, and then they'll give birth to them, and the egg develops outside the mother. So it'll start small, kind of like a chicken egg, but mom doesn't sit on the nest like a chicken does. Then others, like nurse sharks, the baby develops in an egg case till it's full, It's fully ready to be born, and then it'll hatch out of the egg case in its mom's belly, and then it's born alive. And then the ones, the lemon sharks, they don't have an egg case at all. They have an umbilical cord to get nutrients directly from their mother, just like we did. Cool. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you so much to everybody who joined us today. Oops, we got one more with a shark. No, but it's baby. So certain sharks, the female will actually have a hormone in her body that is released so that it suppresses her appetite. She's not hungry, so that she won't turn around and eat her own babies when they're born. But if she comes back 2 or 3 years later, and she's hungry, she might actually eat her own young. Are lemon sharks the smallest? They are not. Dwarf lantern sharks are the smallest, about the size of my hand. Oh, all right. Well, thank you guys so much. Those were excellent questions. If you want to learn a little bit more, we have lots of free lesson plans and videos and activities on the website. It's www.sharks4kids.com. So please go check it out. All the resources are free to download, activities to use. And remember, you can help sharks today and every day. It's a really important job, but you can make a difference. So thank you guys so much for joining me today. Thank you. Bye, guys.